Hello everyone, my name is Ricky Liang and I come from the Forest Group and I am mainly responsible for the Module 4 for this English learning and teaching program. First of all, I'm going to show you the storybox of the Module 4. The scenario of the Module 4 is derived from a charming house in the deep of the forest where three little bears live. One day, a girl broke into their house and started an adventure. The main plot of this story is an adventure journey and how your action might affect others. So in the class, I will show this 3D model to my kids and ask them to predict what's going to happen next. After that, I will read the Goldilocks and the Three Bears book in front of the class. During the reading, I will encourage students analyze the text from the language and structure perspective through the questioning, such as what's the main character in this story, what they look like, and what their personality, and what's the problem and solution. And it will also help students to review the key elements of the narrative text based on their learning from the previous module. And I will also read this really drafted version of the Goldilocks and the Three Bears that created by myself and ask them some of the open-ended question, just like, how do you feel about this book and about this text? Did you like it? And could you tell me some of the reason? And can you image some of the setting and the character in this book from this text or the illustration? And let students to compare those two versions of the text from the different perspectives, such as the language, cover, creation, and illustration. In the last activity, students also will create a narrative checklist with the educator scaffolding, and I will also post this document in the classroom on the wall. So in the sequence 1, student will review and strengthen the language and the structure feature of the narrative text and learn how to refine their word. And this narrative checklist will become a criteria to help students to make sure all the key elements in the narrative text. In second sequence, a student will focus on compare and analyze two different types of text and how to write a text for specific social purpose. At first, I will show students those two pictures and write down two sentences on the board, help them to distinguish what's the difference between the narrative and the information text. The first sentence will be, Andy has X-ray vision, and otherwise Andy has green eyes. After reading the text aloud, I will ask the student, which sentence is make-believe and how do you know? Which sentence is real? How do you know? It is possible to write an imaginary text and factual text about the same topic. And then I will reread the narrative text Goldilocks and the Three Bears again and ask children what is the text about, and it is a fiction text or non-fiction text. How do you know that? And then I will ask children, have you seen any bear in reality, and what do you know about the bear? And then they will watch the 7 fun facts about the bear in the YouTube. And after that, they will compare these two different of the texts and understand what their social purpose. In the second activity of this sequence, students also will complete this Venn diagram with the teacher's scaffolding. They will to find what's the difference and what is the common point of the narrative and the information text. In the last activity of the sequence 2, I will tell my student we will doing some the animal research activity. At first, I will ask some question. What's your favorite animal? Have you seen that before? What do you know about this animal? And where can we get some reliable information about animal? And after discussion, we will know we can get this kind of animal from the documentary, library, book, or website. And I also will provide some of the children-friendly website to the kids, such as the Perth Zoo, A to Z Animals. And so students can do the research by themselves. After that, the student will complete information report and use this template. They can draw the picture and write the sentence in the column. In the last sequence of the module, I will really focus on the bookmaking activity. And the student will familiar with each step of the writing process. I will also invite the students' parents to join in the class. Parents would share their some stories they read or heard when they as the children, and let them to share some of the storybook from their own culture. I will also ask the student to share some of the character or story they are familiar with. And during this activity, students can compare those literature from different language and cultural background. And then we will move to the story planning stage, and I will give each student this story map plan and tell stories. They can use this template to create a short version of the story, and then they can include all the important feature of the story. And another learning resource I will use, it is the narrative checklist. Because when students formally build their own story based on the previously complete story map, they can use this checklist to make sure they include all the key elements of the narrative text. In order to help students revision and refine their text, I will also use this material during the revision stage. It will help students to collect more useful and positive feedback from the peer. From this picture, we can know the tell is means you need to tell something you like and ask, like you can ask a question. And the give is you can give some of the positive suggestion that student can make better in the further stage. And student also can get some feedback from the educator. I will model reading what we write yesterday, and we can check does it make sense together, and ask a student to spot some mistake and suggest some alternative to improve. And the last stage will be publishing stage. During this stage, I will keep show students lots of different storybook, and we really focus on the cover, and I will ask the student what we can see on the book cover. They will focus on the big title of the book, the name, the illustration, and the blur. And so after that, the student can edit their work and use the success criteria. At last, all the students can create their own storybook.